I was far from the top student when I got to WRA. Now, where I came from, my middle school, my elementary school, I was amongst the very finest students that they had, and in going to WRA, I had solid, strong grades. I had some pretty good test scores. But once I got into that environment, I was used to being in an environment where I was amongst the top students, probably the top 2 or 3 in any class I was in, classes of 25, or so persons in a class. Not much discussion between you and the teacher. Definitely not any group discussion. Not a lot of individualized attention if you had challenges. But I was killing it. And I went up in there and thought, I was really, really amongst the very best. I thought I was the man. And needless to say, the level of the curriculum shifted. The expectations shifted. And I went from doing very well to failing Latin, chemistry, and geometry. And the question was, very early on for me, was I good enough to be there? Was I talented enough to be there? And it was complicated by race, place, and economic background. So here I was coming from a more working class background, and here I was coming from the inner city, the hood, all black neighborhood, and here I am in school with the sons and daughters of some of the most, financially solvent families and economically elite in the nation. I tell folks all the time, you pulled up to get dropped off, and we're in our station wagon with the big old cargo thing on the top of it, and everything I own in my life, I'm coming getting dropped off, and this kid's getting dropped off in, these cars with fancy symbols on them. I didn't know what it was, it was a Mercedes. Mm-hmm. This kid's getting dropped off with a big cat on the hood. I thought it was some kind of special cougar or something, Lincoln Mercury. It was a Jaguar, I remember, there was a kid who would at times commute back and forth to school with a helicopter, his dad's helicopter. So you're coming into that environment where persons where they're bragging, talking about, yeah, my dad created this ear procedure, and now, he makes X million dollars a year, and every time somebody uses this piece of equipment, so people are telling you stories like that, you sitting there like, man, I hope I got some money for some pizza on Saturday. Right. So it's a whole different expectation, and when you complicate that with, not immediately being able to succeed academically, that imposter syndrome starts to settle in, and that sense of you're not good enough and you can't do, and you're not capable to compete at that level. And that's when, I think it's really important for folks to start developing the skills of grit and resilience, right? And for me, that's where it began, because I got hit in the mouth. And I think it was Holyfield said, everybody got a plan until you get hit in the mouth. Exactly. Right? And then it becomes about not just your plan, but what do you have in the tank to draw upon, to have reserves to call upon to overcome the challenges that you're facing. And, for me, I didn't have that when I got there, but, I met individuals who laid the foundation for everything I've accomplished. So, anything I've accomplished in my life, I go back to the love of my family. I go back to the grace of God for keeping me sheltered in very difficult moments. And I go to this foundation here and the persons that I encountered, because they taught me what this piece of, what life is all about. And I'll tell one quick story. I was failing everything. And an individual came to me named Frank Longstreth, and 6'5", snowy haired white man. And to that point in my life, I never had a conversation with someone who was of a different race and ethnicity to me. I can't remember any teachers. I definitely don't remember any advisors or counselors or anybody. So here I was, I'm 15 years old, 16 years old, never had a conversation with somebody different of a race ethnicity than me. And that's the same thing many of our black college students have when they go to college today. Still haven't had that difference of experience, that intimate type of interaction and contact. And so he comes to me and he says, Williams, I understand you're struggling with some things. And I was embarrassed, didn't know kind of what to say, how to say, what to do. But he created a pathway where he allowed me to say I needed help without losing my dignity. And, and I appreciate that in him greatly. And in essence, what he told me was, look, you're smart, or if you wouldn't be here. He said, but what you need help with is understanding how to overcome a problem when it confronts you. He said, I can help you with that. And basically what he said was, And every night at my boarding school, from 6 o'clock on to lights out, you had to either be in your room, in mandatory study hall, in the library, or working with a professor. And so in this instance, he, as the professor, and all the professors lived on campus, he said, I want you to come to my home, and I'm going to tutor you, and my wife is going to tutor you every evening. He was like, but this is the deal. You can't come when you're struggling with something. You can't come when you just have a test coming up. So you got to come every day. And so we had classes 6 days a week, shirt and tie mandatory, 6 days a week. So he was like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Sunday. He got Saturday off. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Sunday. So that's what I did for 3 years. And I tell you what, Troy, it was the foundation of what taught me how to really put my nose to the grind and really start chipping away at something. Grit is defined as a function of long-term goals that you are pursuing over time, overcoming obstacles, right? So grit is defined as a concept of goals, time, and overcoming challenge. That's when I first started understanding what it took to be gritty. And I'm of the belief that our minds work automatically in many ways, meaning that we don't have to think about things to be able to do things, right? So, if a ball's coming towards your head, you don't have to think, I better, move, or something's coming to your eyes. You don't think, I better blink. So there's unconscious ways that we respond to information. We respond to situations. And I believe that those who achieve the highest levels of greatness and impact in their chosen endeavors, then doing what needs to be done becomes automatic. You don't have to think about it. So for me, putting in the research, putting in the time in scholarship, putting the time in writing and design, and thinking about whatever it is I'm doing, I don't have to find work ethic, because I have a perfect work ethic that was born in those first moments with him, and the repetition of every day, every day, every day, every day.